Right now, over 6 million tons of farmed shrimp are harvested worldwide every year, more than the weight of 60 million people. And chances are, the shrimp on your plate didn't come from the ocean. It was born in a pond, raised in crowded conditions, and shipped thousands of miles to your freezer. But behind that pink, buttery bite is a hidden cost. Mangrove forests destroyed, antibiotics in our water, and coastal communities paying the price. Today, we're going inside the global shrimp farming industry, where feeding the world meets ecological crisis. For most of human history, shrimp was a local catch, scooped from tidal flats, coastal bays, or river deltas by small boats and sold fresh the same day. It was seasonal, regional, and limited by what the ocean could provide. But by the 1970s, everything changed. As demand for seafood exploded in the US, Japan, and Europe, wild shrimp stocks couldn't keep up. Fishermen were hauling in less and paying more. Something had to give. Enter aquaculture. Farmers in Japan, Thailand, and Ecuador began building shallow ponds along coastlines, flooding them with seawater, stocking them with baby shrimp, and harvesting them weeks later. It seemed like the perfect solution: reliable supply, lower cost, and less pressure on wild oceans. By the 1990s, farmed shrimp overtook wild-caught in global trade. Today, over 90% of the shrimp eaten in America is farm-raised, most of it coming from just 5 countries: India, Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, and Ecuador. But early shrimp farming came at a steep price. In places like Thailand and Bangladesh, millions of acres of mangrove forests, vital ecosystems that protect coastlines, shelter fish, and store carbon, were bulldozed to make room for shrimp ponds. Entire villages lost their natural storm barriers. Biodiversity collapsed, and when disease hit, as it often did, farmers would abandon the ponds and move on, leaving behind salt-scarred, unusable land. It was boom and bust on an industrial scale. Yet the demand never slowed. As middle-class populations grew in China and the US, so did shrimp consumption. A food once reserved for special occasions became a $30 billion global industry. Now, decades later, the industry is at a crossroads. New technologies promise cleaner systems. Certifications claim sustainability. And consumers are asking, can we keep eating shrimp without destroying the coasts that gave it to us? To answer that, we need to understand how it's really farmed today, beneath the surface. Modern shrimp farming is a global operation, but it all starts the same way: in a hatchery. Tiny shrimp larvae, no bigger than a grain of rice, are hatched in climate-controlled tanks filled with filtered seawater. They're fed algae, then brine shrimp, then specialized pellets, all while technicians monitor salinity, temperature, and oxygen levels like it's a neonatal ICU. After about 30 days, they're ready to move to grow-out ponds. And this is where the real diversity begins. In extensive farms, common in parts of India or Bangladesh, shrimp are raised in large, low-density ponds that mimic natural conditions. Fewer shrimp per acre, minimal feeding, longer grow-out times. It's slower, but gentler on the environment. Then there's semi-intensive and intensive farming, the dominant model in Vietnam, Thailand, and Ecuador. Here, ponds are smaller, heavily stocked, and packed with aeration systems that bubble oxygen 24/7. Farmers feed high-protein pellets, monitor water chemistry daily, and often use probiotics to keep disease at bay. But even that pales in comparison to the newest frontier: biofloc and indoor recirculating systems. Imagine warehouse-like buildings filled with round tanks, where shrimp swim in swirling, probiotic-rich water that's cleaned and reused constantly. No ocean water needed. These systems use 95% less water, produce zero discharge, and can be built anywhere, even in the desert. The catch: they're expensive, and scaling them up to meet global demand is still a huge challenge. Now, after 3 to 6 months of growth, it's harvest time. Workers drain the ponds or net the tanks, chill the shrimp instantly, and rush them to processing plants, often within hours. There, they're sorted by size, peeled, or left whole, frozen, and packed. Much of it is shipped frozen to the US, where it sits in freezers for months before hitting your plate. But here's something most people don't realize: frozen shrimp often travels farther than fresh wild shrimp ever did. A bag labeled "Product of USA" might contain shrimp raised in Indonesia, processed in China, and repackaged in Texas. It's a global supply chain, efficient, yes, but also fragile. One disease outbreak, one port delay, one trade policy shift, and prices spike overnight. And disease, that's the industry's biggest nightmare. Because when you pack thousands of shrimp into a small space, even one sick animal can trigger a wipeout. Viruses like EMS, early mortality syndrome, have wiped out entire regions' production in weeks. So how are farmers fighting back? With science and satellites. Gone are the days when shrimp farming meant just digging a pond and hoping for the best. Today, the most advanced operations run like high-tech biolabs, where data is as important as water. Farmers now use underwater cameras and AI to monitor shrimp behavior in real time. Sudden changes in swimming patterns that could signal low oxygen or early disease long before visible symptoms appear. Water quality is tracked every hour. pH, ammonia, nitrite, dissolved oxygen, all logged automatically by floating sensors that send alerts straight to a farmer's phone. Some systems even auto-adjust aeration or add probiotics when levels drift. Then there's genetics. Just like pigs and chickens, shrimp are now selectively bred for disease resistance, fast growth, and feed efficiency. Companies like Benchmark Genetics and Skretting have developed specific pathogen-free (SPF) and specific pathogen-resistant (SPR) shrimp lines that survive outbreaks that would have once wiped out entire crops. And instead of guessing how much to feed, many farms use acoustic feeders, devices that listen to the sound of shrimp eating. When the crunching stops, feeding stops. That cuts waste, lowers costs, and reduces pollution. But the real game changer: satellite monitoring. In countries like Ecuador, the fastest growing shrimp producer in the world, companies use satellite imagery to track pond conditions from space. They can detect illegal deforestation, monitor water discharge, and even estimate harvest volumes before farmers report them. Meanwhile, in the US and Europe, indoor recirculating aquaculture systems, or RAS, are pushing the boundaries even further. These closed-loop tanks filter and recycle water continuously, eliminating the need for ocean access altogether. Some even use renewable energy and AI-driven climate control. And then there's the rise of certifications. ASC, Aquaculture Stewardship Council, Best Aquaculture Practices, BAP, Global G.A.P. These labels promise everything from no mangrove destruction to fair wages and minimal antibiotic use. But critics say enforcement is spotty, and certified doesn't always mean sustainable. Still, the direction is clear. The future of shrimp farming isn't just about producing more. It's about producing smarter, cleaner, fairer, and closer to home. But can it scale fast enough to meet demand without repeating the mistakes of the past? That's where the environmental stakes get really high. Let's talk about the real cost of that cheap bag of frozen shrimp. On the surface, farming shrimp seems like a win. It reduces pressure on wild fisheries, creates jobs, and feeds millions. But the environmental footprint, it's complicated, and in some places, devastating. The biggest issue starts with the land. In Southeast Asia and Latin America, shrimp ponds were often built by clearing mangrove forests, dense coastal ecosystems that act as natural storm barriers, fish nurseries, and massive carbon sinks. One estimate says up to 40% of the world's mangroves have been lost to aquaculture since the 1980s. And once those trees are gone, the damage is hard to reverse. Salt from the ponds seeps into the soil, making it barren for decades. Local communities lose fishing grounds, clean water, and protection from typhoons. Then there's water pollution. Shrimp farms use massive amounts of water, up to 30,000 liters per kilogram of shrimp in some intensive systems. That water, loaded with uneaten feed, feces, and chemicals, often flows straight back into rivers or the ocean. The result: algae blooms, dead zones, and poisoned coral reefs. Antibiotics are another concern. In countries with weak regulations, farmers still use drugs like oxytetracycline to prevent disease, contributing to antibiotic-resistant bacteria that can spread to humans through water or food. And while US and EU import rules ban shrimp with antibiotic residues, testing is inconsistent, and supply chains are long and opaque. A 2023 FDA report found over 10% of imported shrimp samples contained unapproved drugs. But it's not all doom and gloom. In places like Ecuador, a shift toward low-density, mangrove-integrated farming has shown that shrimp and forests can coexist. Farmers raise shrimp in small numbers among remaining mangroves. The trees filter waste, the shrimp provide income, and biodiversity stays intact. In India, some cooperatives now use zero-water exchange systems that recycle 98% of their water, slashing pollution. And in Norway and the Netherlands, high-tech indoor farms are proving that shrimp can be grown year-round with near-zero environmental impact. No mangroves lost, no ocean discharge, no antibiotics. The problem isn't shrimp farming itself. It's how and where it's done. Because right now, the cheapest shrimp often comes at the highest hidden cost to ecosystems, to coastal communities, and to the future of our oceans. So what's the real solution? Some say it's certification. Others say it's regulation. But many believe the answer lies in something even more powerful: what we choose to buy. shrimp isn't just seafood, it's a global economic engine. The farmed shrimp industry is now worth over $30 billion a year, supporting millions of jobs across Asia, Latin America, and Africa. In countries like Vietnam and Ecuador, shrimp exports are a top source of foreign income, second only to oil in some regions. In Vietnam's Mekong Delta, entire towns revolve around shrimp farming. Families live beside ponds, kids ride bikes past processing plants, and local economies rise and fall with the price per kilo in Chicago or Berlin. In the U.S., Americans eat more shrimp than any other seafood, over 4.5 pounds per person every year. And much of it is cheap, frozen, and farm-raised, making it a staple in everything from taco trucks to fine dining. But that affordability comes with a hidden labor story. Behind those $8.99 all-you-can-eat shrimp deals are often underpaid workers, sometimes in dangerous conditions. In Thailand, investigations have uncovered forced labor and human trafficking in shrimp processing plants, scandals that led major U.S. retailers to overhaul their supply chains. Even in ethical supply chains, wages can be low, hours long, and safety oversight minimal, especially in rural areas with few alternatives. And yet, for many coastal families, shrimp farming is still one of the best economic opportunities they have. It's lifted communities out of poverty, funded schools, and kept young people from migrating to cities. That's the tension. This industry feeds the world and exploits it, sometimes on the very same supply chain. But consumer awareness is shifting. Demand for traceable, certified, or domestic shrimp is rising. U.S.-grown shrimp from indoor farms may cost 3 times as much, but it's antibiotic-free, eco-friendly, and supports local jobs. Restaurants like Sweet Green and Chipotle now highlight responsibly sourced shrimp. Even Walmart has tightened its sourcing standards. So while the global system remains deeply unequal, the power to change it isn't just in policy, it's in our plates. Every time we choose shrimp, we're voting for a kind of food system. The question is, what kind do we want? So where does the shrimp farming industry go from here? The answer depends on who you ask and where they stand in the supply chain. In Asia and Latin America, the push is toward green intensification, producing more shrimp on the same land, but with less pollution, less water, and better disease control. Governments are tightening rules on mangrove clearance. Farmers are adopting probiotics instead of antibiotics. And tech startups are rolling out low-cost sensors so even smallholders can monitor water quality via smartphone. In the US and Europe, the future looks more radical, land-based, indoor shrimp farms in the middle of cities or deserts. Companies like Shrimp Blue in the Netherlands, RDM Aquaculture in Indiana, and Pacifico Aquaculture in Mexico are proving that premium, traceable shrimp can be grown close to consumers, with no ocean impact, no shipping emissions, and full transparency. Then there's alternative seafood. Lab-grown shrimp, it's already here. Companies like Shiok Meats, Singapore, and New Wave Foods, US, are using cell-cultured or plant-based tech to replicate shrimp's texture and flavor, without a single pond or ocean mile. It's still early days, and prices are high, but the goal isn't to replace all farmed shrimp. It's to offer a sustainable alternative for conscious consumers and high-end markets. Meanwhile, global efforts are ramping up to clean up the mainstream supply chain. The Seafood Import Monitoring Program, SIMP, in the US, the EU's deforestation regulation, and blockchain traceability pilots are making it harder for bad actors to hide. But the biggest shift might come from something simpler: transparency. Imagine scanning a QR code on your frozen shrimp bag and seeing exactly where it was farmed, how the workers were treated, and what certifications it holds. That future isn't science fiction. It's already happening in pilot programs across Norway, Canada, and Chile. The truth is, we'll always eat shrimp. It's too delicious, too versatile, too embedded in global cuisine to disappear. But how we produce it, that's changing faster than most people realize. The next decade could decide whether shrimp farming becomes a model of sustainable aquaculture or a cautionary tale of unchecked growth. And this time, the choice isn't just for farmers or governments. It's for all of us. If this deep dive into the world of farmed shrimp opened your eyes, you're not alone. What's on your plate is never just food. It's a story of ecosystems, economies, innovation, and ethics. And now you know more about where that shrimp really comes from. So we're curious, would you pay more for shrimp that protects mangroves and treats workers fairly? Or is affordability non-negotiable? Drop your honest take in the comments. We read every one. If you learned something new, do us a quick favor. Hit like, share this with someone who loves seafood, and subscribe if you haven't already. We're on a mission to uncover how our food is really made. No hype, no fear, just facts you can use. Next time, we're going even deeper underwater to explore the rise of salmon farming, the breakthroughs, the pollution problems, and why some call it the future of food, while others call it an ecological time bomb. Stay curious, eat wisely, and we'll see you in the next one.